Hey, welcome back to Hulk Garage. Thanks for hanging out on my channel, watching my videos. Also, shout out to all the men and women of uniform that have served America and the first responders. We're going to be doing a little transmission fluid change on old Hulk today, and I'll show you how to do it. Special shout out to my mother-in-law. She got me this cup from Ireland. So thank you, love you. Black Rifle Coffee. Okay, so today I'm going to show y'all how to change transmission fluid on a Turbo Hydromatic 400 on a Hulk. So the truck's sat for 10 years. It's probably not been changed in 15 to 20 years. As you already know, I just recently got it running and on the road, so definitely want to put some new fluid in there before I drop it too much. So anyway, I picked up a few things. I'll show y'all what I got. I spent roughly around $130 for everything, which is not bad considering I bought a new window crank as well. Just a couple of little things that I really didn't have to have, but I wanted to get some maintenance done on it today. So also I picked up a new transmission modulator valve. This one's actually adjustable. There's a little adjustment in there with a small flathead screwdriver. You can shift your, well, you can have the shift delayed, or you can have it shift earlier if you want to, just by that adjustment. So the factory one isn't adjustable. So I noticed that the stock one was leaking around this O-ring as well. So just while I might as well put a new modulator on. Also picked up this fluid here. It's just what they had on the shelf. It's the multi-purpose ATF. It's synthetic, but it does. It is for Dexron 3. Dexron 2 and the Mercron. So basically it's going to cover everything from 2005 and back, it says on there. So put some new fluid in. I also picked up this Wix transmission filter. That's the part number for the 400 that we got in the truck. It's kind of basic. You just basically stick it in with this O-ring, this new O-ring. There's probably a bolt in there when we take the pan off. I'll show y'all how to take that bolt out, and then this just drops down. And then we got a new pan gasket as well. Your pan shape and size is kind of what tells you what transmission you have in your vehicle. They're all different, but pretty much the Turbo 400, that shape of Texas is going to be like a Turbo 400. Like a 700 R4 would be like basically like a square with like one of the triangles like cut off. And then also I picked up some brake clean. This is just a cheap, AutoZone stuff, but you definitely want it clean up in there when you're dropping the transmission pan. So I'll show you how to clean all that stuff up. We're going to drain the transmission fluid out. I like to use just a big drip pan, as big as you can get. Also, I'm going to use these screwdrivers to kind of scrape that pan area. We're just going to scrape it clean. We'll put some carburetor cleaner on there, and then we'll come back and scrape it again. And yeah, you want that area clean before we put that new gasket on and everything. So let's get to it. Under this truck, like I said, it's a Turbo 400. This is your transmission pan. These, I believe these are 9/16 bolts. we're gonna clean all that up, and then I'll clean this pan up once I get it off, and we'll put the new filter in, gasket on, and then there's a torque spec for these bolts. We'll look that up. I'm not sure off the top of my head right now, and then we'll change this transmission modulator valve out as well. So when I pull this first bolt out, fluid may just start running out. So this is a messy job. So be ready. Have rags. Have something. Have safety glasses, because you're either going to be wearing it, tasting it, or seeing it, more than likely. Yep. See, there's a little bit of fluid already coming out. Oh, and then your socket rolls away usually, so you gotta like fat man crawl under here. And then my pipes are still hot, so there's that. Alright. And then, we'll probably drop a few bolts down in here in the pan in a minute too with it full of fluid. And then I'll have to fish those out. But, hey, it's a nice day out. So a little tip, I got my kind of half-assed piece of cardboard here. But a little tip, get you one of these like magnetic trays. And, I mean, it's simple, but they're life-saving when you go to put this back on. We're gonna clean these up, but just for now I'm gonna throw these in this little magnetic tray, and it keeps you from laying on them. All right, don't get a screwdriver that's gonna gouge that aluminum housing. Get like a wider blade, kind of more of a dull. So this is a modified screwdriver. I actually broke the tip off, but I took it to the bench grinder. I broke it a long time ago, but anyway, I use this blunt, more of a blunt screwdriver in as just for like a prying tool. That's less likely to gouge that aluminum surface because it's pretty dull, and it's got like that wedge, more of a wedge to it with that blunt end. So, and I'm just gonna hit it with my hand. I'm not gonna use a hammer, or I'm not gonna put too much force on it. It should pop loose. Somewhere to put my screwdriver at. I'm just gonna kind of give that like a twist, and you can kind of see it. You can see it separating now. See right there? And that's it. Like, I didn't put a lot of force on it. I just did it by hand. And then another thing is this pan right here. You bend it, and it's over. It's gonna leak forever. So just be careful. So I'm going to kind of walk it around, and we've still got our front bolts in. Hopefully they're going to hold this. So I'm going to get my drip pan ready. It should come out the back here, but we're probably going to be wearing it. I'm going to let that kind of like drain before I fully let it down on it. You don't want too much weight on those two front bolts, because that you can bend that flange as well, like that. So I'm gonna kind of support it with my hand. All right, so we're gonna do a little inspection of this pan right quick. Got my last two bolts put in there. All right, so this is gonna tell all right here. See all that shimmer in there? That's wear, that's clutches. So that that's metal. So I mean, it is what it is. If you have this shimmer going on in the bottom of your pan, it's probably not going to last much longer. Just being honest, you can see all that metal in there. So it's okay. I mean, the truck wasn't that expensive, so I'm not worried about it. If I have to put a transmission in, that's fine. But it shifts good, it drives good, so we're just going to change the fluid in it, and I'm gonna go on about my day. I'm not gonna worry about it. All right, so I got the pan cleaned up. I used, like I said, I used that brake clean that I bought. This gasket's not coming off, so I had to get the cheek poker out. So make sure you're wearing your glasses. But yeah, just to kind of help. So like I said, I started using this gasket scraper, but it's just not coming off. So I got this little wire brush. I started using that. But if you'll spray some WD-40 on, it'll kind of break that gasket material. It'll make it softer. I got the pan all pretty clean here. I got the new gasket. I'm just gonna take a look at it. So make sure there's no cracks or tears or anything like that. And then there's our new filter. So I'm gonna kind of test fit my gasket before I crawl under there. And then we might wedge a bolt. I got my bolts still cleaning right here. This is probably stage 3 clean. You don't have to clean them that much, but I pretty much went through all the threads with a wire brush and just by hand, and probably spent 30 minutes on them just making sure they're clean. I put new gloves on just because I want to keep this as clean as I can. Yeah, you just want to make sure that there's no deformation or something in your new gasket, and make sure all the holes are lined up properly, because the worst thing is getting under there and it not being the right part, or the gasket's torn or something. So okay, so we're looking pretty good. Sometimes you can kind of wedge a bolt with the gasket and it'll kind of hold it in there in place. And this is the tip. This is gonna help you. You can see it. That gasket holds it in there. So we're gonna do that at all 4 corners. Okay, yeah. So looks like we forgot to put the pan back under there. So there's that. So I'll have to clean this up before I crawl into that. I cracked open some new ATF. I'm gonna show y'all what you need to lube these little O-rings before you put them on. So here's your filter, and then I just take just a little bit of new transmission fluid, and it should be like bright red like that for these older cars. And then you just want to make sure and lubricate these little rubber pieces. And then this little rubber O-ring on this modulator valve, I'm going to go ahead and fit that a little bit. You can wipe some on this gasket, but I'm not going to. I'll just clean the rest of my finger off of it. But yeah, we should be ready to go. I was able to wedge all those bolts in there, as you can see. Once you get under the truck, this is going to go on a lot easier. Okay, so I lied again. The filter is a 1/2 inch. So I had my 7/16 ready to go, but let's go ahead and take this old filter off. A lot more fluid's going to come down. Get your pan ready. If anything falls out, you need to make sure and try to find it, because it might be something that you need in there, especially like a bolt or something. But if you don't have anything fall out, it's a pretty good day, I guess. Alright, so we're going to get a couple more quarts of fluid right here. And then you can see this is the original AC Delco, probably the original transmission filter from 1975. I wouldn't doubt it. It's got that old writing on there like that. I mean, I doubt this has ever been changed. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. Just by looking in that pan, it looked pretty bad. I'm not a transmission expert or anything like that. I'm not a certified mechanic really, so just kind of a shade tree backyard, let's get it done kind of guy. So like I said, I'm gonna get some brake clean. I'm just gonna kind of go around this mating surface right here with a good shop towel. What the hell? I don't know what I'm doing here actually. I've never done this. Just saying. Okay, so like I said, I'm pulling this old modulator valve off. 9/16 bolt, and then this little tuning fork, I don't know, spring loaded, like little keeper thing that goes around the valve. It just keeps it from blowing out. So we'll clean this up, and then we'll clean this little bolt up before we put it back together. Oh, didn't get any actually, but as you can see, this one is actually adjustable. Oh, there's your fluid. Okay. So like I was saying before, this is going to control your shift. This little adjustment, you'd have a little bitty screwdriver, and then I believe counterclockwise it's going to shift. It's going to hold the shift longer, and then if you tighten it clockwise, it's going to shift to second gear really fast, and then to third really fast. But if you turn it counterclockwise, it's going to hold the gear for a little bit longer, so you'll get a little bit more RPM before it shifts. So if you were like pulling a trailer or something like that, you wouldn't want it to shift early. You would want you need all that torque you can get out of that gear. So that's why I wanted to be able to adjust it, but like I said, it was shifting early. But this one probably still works, even though it looks like it came from 1910. But I'm just going to put a new one on just for peace of mind. Alright, so this is the new filter. Y'all can do what you want, but I'm going to put a little bit of new fluid in here, kind of like you do an oil filter before you know, when you do an oil change on your car, just to kind of like for startup. It may work, it may not. Like I said, I'm not a certified mechanic, but I kind of know what's going on in there, so just for peace of mind, I'm gonna make a little bit of a mess. I got my hardware cleaned up. Hopefully get the right filter here. Okay, so I got it on. It's pretty tight on there now. I was beginning to wonder, so I'm gonna go ahead and thread this bolt in. We'll tighten it up. Okay, so I'm not gonna look up the torque specs on this. I'm just gonna like give it a little love, just like that. Just, you know, it wasn't that tight when I took it off, and it did move like that. So I'm not worried about this movement right here. This is all going to be setting in transmission fluid anyway. The main thing is having the bolt actually in there, and then make sure that tube is hooked up with that grommet. Okay, so now we're going to put our pan on. I got my pan, and I'm just doing like a second look to make sure I don't have any dirt or particles in here after I cleaned it before I stick it on. Alright, looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and stick it on there. And like I said, putting those bolts in with the gasket already, I mean, it's just so much easier. So the same way we took it off, I'm gonna hook these front two bolts in first, and all this is gonna be by hand. Like, I'm not even gonna use a socket on this with my hand. I'm just gonna use my fingertips, because I don't want to pinch this gasket. Okay, so basically, like if you're tightening lug nuts on your car, you would go, you know, in a star pattern. So I'm going to kind of do that on this. I wouldn't recommend using your Zip-O-Matic 5000 on this. You just want to do it with a ratchet. So, and don't be like out here. Be like in here. This is your feeler. This is your snapper right here.
kind of hear it. You can hear it. You gotta feel it, hear it, smell it, taste it. But you can feel it right here with this one. Yep. Okay. She's on. Alright, so I already slipped this new modulator valve in here just to keep dirt out. But I'm gonna take it out and show y'all how to put it in. So there was a little rubber O-ring on here, but now it's in the casing. I'm not gonna take it out. It's in there, I can see it. I did put some new transmission fluid on that O-ring, like I said, and this is just gonna slide in from the side. The other modulator valve you saw, I mean, it was massive. So, but this is what when I looked it up, this is the Turbo 400. So maybe they just downsized it or whatever for exhaust or something. I don't know. But today, when you pick one up, it's only that big. And like I said, this one is adjustable on the end, but I'm not going to adjust anything until I drive it down the road. It might be perfect, so we're going to leave it alone. And then after you install this from the side right here, there's a little vacuum hose, and then you just want to make sure that you put it right back on there. That's all. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on. Just kind of snaps in there. And then I got my little, you know, whatchamacallit. So I'm going to put that on. And if this doesn't have tension on that valve, like to hold it in, then you got it in wrong. So flip it around, you know. I'm pretty sure it goes like that. So we're gonna test it though. So those old parts you take off, you want to save them. Even that old filter, just keep it for reference. If this transmission blows up or something, and that they say it was because you're using the wrong filter, at least you have the original one that came out of it. Evie, get the one. Keep your old modulator valve. This one might not work, I don't know. So I'm gonna keep my old one. Oh, okay. So yeah, it's going in good. I can see it now. I can see it moving. That little fork is forcing it in.
Mommy, Daddy's truck is so cool.
Just give it a little love, like that. Okay, so you can see the new modulator valve. I got that little fork on there that holds it in. And then now I just got to put that vacuum line back on. So we'll go ahead and do that. So I kind of cleaned the end of this off. This is the stock hard line, vacuum line. And then you just want to connect these two. Go ahead and do that. Blow through your hose, you know. Get that stuff out of there. Because, you know, that could be the problem why it ain't shifting. Alright, so there we go. That looks pretty good. I want to get a shot of that. Alright, so we're done under here. We're going to put some fluid in. I'll show y'all how to do that. Your transmission, the way you feel it on these old Chevys and GMCs, GM, you got that big dipstick back there, but it tells you on here, basically check the fluid and park. The engine needs to be hot idling. So pretty much when we fill this up, it might be full,
but when we start the truck, it's going to drop, and then that's critical. You need to put it back to the full mark. But the engine's got to be hot and it's got to be idling. So you want it, you know, it's going to have to sit here and idle a little bit. What I like to do is kind of run through the gears. Just put your foot on the brake, run through the gears, and then put it back up in the park. You know, it's probably not even going to go anywhere because the fluid's low. But just go ahead and run it through the gears, and then put it back in park, and then get out, and then pull the dipstick out and check it. This one's pretty rough looking, but I was able to clean it up. But there's a little rubber piece down here, and you just kind of want to clean that up as good as you can. You don't want a bunch of trash falling down in there. So pull this out, get you a funnel. Make sure your funnel's clean. You don't want a bunch of trash down in there. Basically, you want to check it. If it goes over the full mark, that's when we know we're safe to start it. Because you don't want to run this without fluid. It'll burn up that pump, and the front pump has to have fluid when the torque converter's turning, the flywheel's turning, the torque converter's turning. So you're using that front pump for the transmission. So if you were to start it with low fluid or even no fluid at all, it would be catastrophic. So you don't want to burn that pump up. But yeah, let's put some fluid in. So I'm going to go ahead and dump the rest of this quart in, this extra quart that I got. So when you pour fluid in, if you see it leaking on the ground, you know, stop pouring it in. So this is kind of a leak down too right here. If we didn't put that modulator valve in or something right, this would be the time where it would start pouring out. So look, listen, feel here. Make sure you got a good funnel, because you're gonna make a mess if you don't. I'm gonna pour about half a gallon in there, and then I'm gonna kind of crawl under and make sure that, you know, there's no leaks. Shouldn't be any, but if there is, you know, stop what you're doing, because you're just wasting money.
Everything.
Okay, so I got an island. We'll let it warm up a little bit. No leaks, so good to go. Make sure you put your transmission dipstick back in there all the way when you're checking your level. Don't leave it out like that, or make sure it's all the way down. We'll just see where it's at right now. So right now I've only got I put 5 quarts in. See where it's at. Okay, so flip it around here. Wipe it off very quick. All the way down. It's not totally all the way warmed up. And we're gonna let it run for a little bit. Alright, so you can see it says we're perfect. You can see that line. But I'm gonna let it idle some more, and then we'll get it warmed up. I'll run it through the gears, and then I bet it'll drop. Let's see. When you first pull the dipstick out, don't ever trust that level. Wipe it off, put it back in there. Okay, so it only took 5 quarts. So like I said, we didn't flush the transmission. I didn't flush the transmission cooler. I didn't empty the lines out or anything like that. So it is what it is. If I did a complete like flush and everything, it might take the full 12 quarts, but right now I might check it like in a week and just make sure that it's not low. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's gonna do it for the transmission fluid change, filter change, and fluid change. So thanks guys. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you on the next one.